might as well get started. Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's going well tonight. So we're actually doing something slightly different tonight. We're going to build a login page. I just want to get something sorted out here and there. So the idea is we'll be doing different things over the next couple of weeks, just to get pretty much the pieces in place type of situation. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. Don't know why I did the secret screen like that. So yeah, currently we've got this. I've fixed the issue that we had last week where it was forwarding off to static, and that wasn't how we wanted it to, because if someone accidentally hits refresh, it doesn't work with the page. The reason why that was actually happening was in our router, we had down here create history, and then we were referencing the base directory in there where we shouldn't have done that there. So I've removed that there. This is all working now. Everyone's quite happy with it. I'm happy with it. So yeah, let's start creating a login screen. So the first thing I want to do, let's minimize everything. Let's open up this. Let's open up NearBeach. Let's open up the views. And we've got the application and we've got the application view. So here's the application view. There goes socks. So currently at the moment we've got a def and it just returns to that, and we're all pretty happy with that. I want an authentication view in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that in. We're going to follow the same sort of module providing the authentication views for NearBeach. Easy done. We're going to go from Django shortcuts, import the render. Yep. From Django.views. Actually, yeah, because this will be extending a view. Then we've got the class authentication view. Yep, we're happy with all of that. This is actually going to be class handling authentication. All right, cool. We're only going to have a get in this sort of case. Args and quags. I don't think we're going to have the args and quags, but I'll figure this out as we go along. And then what we need to do, render. We need NearBeach. Oh, this is where we've got NearBeach. Instead of application.html, it might be authentication.html. Something simple like that. We have Socks with us. She is trying to sit on my mouse. There she is. There you go, Socks. You get to go front and center. So we just need to create the authentication view. So in the templates, what we've got to do is we've got the NearBeach, we've got the application in here. We're just going to create a simple HTML file, and it's just going to be authentication.html. We're going to add it in. We're going to copy what we've got in here. And we're just going to do that down there, and then that way I can delete the first 10 lines, and this is pretty much it. I'm just going to bump that off over there. So we've got the HTML language is going to be English. We've got the head. We've got the icon. Ooh, and we've got an ad break. All right, cool. Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's going well. For those on YouTube wondering what's happening, we run ad breaks every half an hour on Twitch. That's just to stop pre-rolled ads because they suck. And you see us tend to do this, so no one misses out on any content. You know, I only have the ball to fidget with, but you guys get to see socks. She's like, hey, how are you? Yeah, she's like, you pay me too rough. Alright, that's better. Yeah, that's better now. Yeah, she's still like, oh yeah, no. She's like, oh, what about the sternum scratches socks? Yeah. She likes the sternum scratches. Oh, get the neck scratches at the moment too. Look at that. Got about 25 seconds left for the ads. I mean, this is a good enough distraction. She's really heavily leaning into that scratch right now. There we go. About 5 seconds left. Alright, welcome back everyone. So over here we've got the icon, we're all happy with that, we've got the NearBeach application. I'm just going to say login is done. We've got that. The style sheets and this are going to be different. So this is going to be login CSS and this is going to be login TypeScript. Pretty easy. So what we want to do is we want to set those up also. So if we go to source, and I'm just trying to think with the styles, we've got pretty basic stuff. We'll grab some of this, but we won't be using it all. Accessibility. We'll need accessibility. That's not a problem. And the variables themselves. We could potentially use some of these variables in there. So yeah, all right, let's go and create a new file. This is just going to be called login.css. We're going to add it in, easy done. I'm just going to close that and I'm going to close that. We are going to grab some of this, but I'm also having a look. I'll probably grab all of these. I'm going to paste it in. I don't think I'm going to use the 400. I'm definitely going to use the 100 for the Roboto. Now I'm also going to go down here and I'm going to copy that. Just pasting that there for the moment. And I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste that there. And I think that's the only sort of global sort of level that I need. So, yeah. But when we get into it, we're going to come back here. We're going to change everything. This process is always iterative. We always come back to the files and stuff like that. So I've got that there. I don't have the login TypeScript file. So we've got main there. If I right hand click here, we're just going to go and type in login.ts. I'm going to do that. At the moment, it's going to be like this. We've got the app view and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm going to create a directory. Actually, no, I'm not going to create a directory. I'm going to create a new view component, and I'm going to call it login.view. Once again, it's a compositional view component. I'm tossing up whether or not to. These aren't technically components, these are technically pages. I might move these into their own folder called pages. And the reason being is it neatens up this. I get to sort of put all the unit tests for those particular pages with those pages themselves and so forth like that. So I might do that now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move those in there. We're going to refactor everything. Oh, hang on a second. We need 2 folders. App and login. Easy done. Let's grab these, just shove them in there, go, yep, refactor, just do all my heavy work for me. That way the login view, that also goes into there also, and we're happy with that. And that's looking a lot nicer. We can still keep this internationalization file there for the moment. We will be working on those shortly, where we'll be actually adding in internationalization to all of our components that we already got. Yeah. All right, so the next thing is I've got to check this. This seems to be working perfectly fine with the login screen itself. I'm just going to open up this. I'm going to open up the login. Cool. It'll be pretty similar to this, so I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to paste it in. So we got the polyfill stuff, which we're happy with. We won't need the PNR. We'll need the create app. This will need to change. So it's going to be called import login from pages login job view. And then to be consistent, we're going to rename all of this and so forth like that. We'll keep the internationalization. We won't need to worry about the routing just yet. So what we can do is we've got the import internationalization. Yep, that's perfectly fine. We'll do const app create app, and that's just going to use the login. Easy done. We won't need the router. We won't need that. And I think that's what we want. I'm going to change that back to app. Yeah, I like that. We can actually do something like that. That way, it makes sense. If someone to look at this file, they can instantly say, oh, this is the login app, not the application itself. All right, cool. So this is a stripped down version. We're all happy with that. That should now compile. We need something in here. I'm just going to do a hello world in here. We're not going to worry too much about that. And I keep probably hitting escape a couple of times and doing a bunch of that stuff. Now, the other thing is we want our application to forward to the authentication views. Now, we're not too worried about that at the moment. Yeah, that can be just like that at the moment. So what I want to do and I'm just having a quick think here. Is I want to make sure any user that isn't logged in is coming here. And we do have a decorator. So Django decorator is login. There is a decorator for this. Login required. All right. So So we're going to go to our other views at the moment. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of the Django. We want the application views in here. We're going to go from, now this is where I need to contrib auth decorators. Login required. Now that's got to go up to the top. And what I want to do is I want to move it to somewhere like that. And I want to handle when a user, let's say a user gets a link to project 12 and they open up the project 12, but they've been logged out. Now I want, once that they log in, that it does actually go to that project 12. So I still need to handle all of that. So we'll also be testing that. Now, originally NearBeach just didn't do any of that and it cleared all the things and so forth like that. But over time, I'm like, that's horrible. there's been times I needed to get to it and I don't know why I set it up like that. All right, cool. And yeah, it should be something like that. Login required. Now we've got to set up the URLs for all of this. So we need to go into our URLs. We currently have a path as a view that's going to application and then application. I'm going to have a login paths up here. So we've got the path. We're just going to go login / and it's going to go authentication views and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to import all of that for us. So we're actually happy with all of that. So I'm thinking this is all connected up now. So if I go refresh, something's broken. I'm just going to go refresh just in case. No. Attribute error. Function. Object has no attribute as view. I'm just going to do that. We're just going to refresh. And I'm just going to undo a bunch of times. I'm going to... I think I know why. All right. It's because I've done this. I think it has to be like that. So I'm just going to stop and restart. That's looking a lot better. Yeah, I just needed to log in right there. So this one should be fine. And then what we've got to do is authentication views. This will be path. This will be login / all of that fun jazz. Everyone's happy with that. I'm just going to double checking by stopping and restarting, just making sure everything's working. So if I go refresh, we have application view has no attribute user. All right, not a problem at the moment. I'm logged out. We're going to read this documentation properly. Yeah, it should be login URL. All right, let's double check this. Okay. We should be getting it from request. We don't have any args or quags. Now I remember what this is. Yeah, we're just ignoring all the args and quags because we're not touching any of them in this view. Alright, so I'm just going to put a little breakpoint there. We're just going to hit refresh. We're not hitting that breakpoint though. And it is saying application view. Alright, let's see what they've got. Production detail view. Yep, that's all happy. Yeah, alright. Now, I'm going to quickly read the documentation to see if they're doing any class login required mix-in. This is probably it because we're now using classes and stuff like that. So what I'll do, I'll come back in here. We'll just delete that. We'll just paste that one in. And once again, we've got to do it like that. In here, it will be login required mix-in. Easy done. I will then get rid of that. Now this wants to be static method, doesn't it? In which case I can get rid of that. Because we're not doing too much with it. And then it isn't redirecting properly. Yeah, alright. So it's trying to go to accounts login. And then what I want to do something like that. It's gonna get boom. All right, cool. And now we've got the login, and then we've got the next up in the query string, and so forth like that. If I go, let's say project 12. Oh wow! All right. It's got project login. All right. That is not what we want. And how are you, Devinda MRI? How are you going? Hopefully you're going well. So what I've got to do is read the documentation more. Probably, yeah, I probably need the / out at the front to test for this. So if we get rid of all of that again and go project 12, done. All right, yeah, that was it. I was just missing the / and then we got the next up there, and then yeah, we can start working on this. So I'm happy with that. That's very simple. We do have next up there. We can probably rename that to redirects to or something like that. Which I'm probably going to leave as default because I need to then make changes everywhere. So yeah. You're fine? Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I can't complain. It's finally warming up here. Well, it's warmed up here, so I'm happy. Instead of having a cold December, we're having a warm January. So yeah, can't complain. We're working on the login screen as we speak. So we're going to figure out a few things with this. One of them being is how we're going to handle 2FA and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, it's going to be more experimental this stream. A little bit of design because we haven't figured out what the login screen we wanted. All right, let's go into somewhere like here. So we could potentially do something simple like this. Do I have I'll log out. I currently have something like this. I'm not the biggest fan of it. That design's terrible. But we'll fix it up. Whereas we've got an image in the background, we could do something like what Umbraco does. Once it loads up, where they've got an image over here and then the sign up over here where you would sign up. I don't know why it's not showing my login. There we go. Could do something like this where we've got half. Which, yeah, that works. Could do something like this where we've got a box and then an image in the background or something like that. Yep. This also can be extended that we include single sign-on, which is something which we do want to actually implement. Yeah. We'll have another look. So this one, you got the logo and then sign into your account, your email, a password, whether to remember you or not. In this sort of case, we're not going to have the remember fields. And does Django support that? That the user doesn't have to rewrite their password, username, and password, so that it remembers the next time the user opens up the website, the username and password are already compiled. Yeah, I'm gonna skip the remember. We'll need the forgot password. Still need the sign in. Don't have an account yet. That won't be in there. Yeah, all right. Could do this, where we've got a logo on one side. Because I like figuring things out myself. LLMs are a tool. They shouldn't be used as a crutch. This one I like with the background and stuff like that. It's going on with what I've already got. Don't know how... I can see that they've got a grading on the image itself. And it's something which... I'll probably go with this refactor and stuff like that. I'll probably go out, take a lot more photos and have a new image set. Because currently at the moment, if you go to demo.NearBeach and org, you'll notice every single time you restart, you get a new image. Some of these images, like this one, will not compress really, really well because that's early days of WebP. Whereas some of these are looking a little bit better. Still. And I think I just need to go out and take a lot more photos. And probably only put them down as 5, be really stringent with how many I have on there. I kind of like this one. It's simple. I can still keep the photos, but then again, I could possibly keep the photos with the other one and then just have a 6x4. It would be not 2:3 or 3:2 sized image. Yeah. And I could depending on the screen size, I actually have different size images because well, the JavaScript, the VueJS can actually find out how big the screen is, so thus adjusting the image itself. I mean, that does kind of work. And then I don't need to worry about the login placement. So originally, if we go back to demo and stuff like that, originally a lot of these images, the early image, so that's a newer image, this is an early image. Notice how the fires are over that case and the login page sort of hovers over it. Terrible. What actually happened was left. Give me a couple of seconds. The login used to be over here. So it used to be on the third over there, and that looked a lot better. So I had a focus point of the images and then the login over there. Now, what I could, as you can see with that image, it works really, really well. And a lot of the early images were set up like that. So if I refresh, that's a later image. That's an earlier image. That's, I think, a later image. That's definitely a later image. That's an earlier image. That's a later image. So yeah, some of these images, that's an early image where the login would be over here, and it would make sense because you sort of had like this dead space for the images and so forth like that. That's a later image. That's definitely a later image. That's a later image. There's a bird up there. That's an earlier image. It had the I could do that, but then I'm gonna need images for that. Otherwise, I don't mind doing something like this, or this, or this, or set up the screen so it's half-half, and on half the page you've just got an image, much like the Embraco stuff again. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just having a look at what Embraco does. Okay, so that image goes all the way out. All right. And then that's sort of part of the background. All right. Let's just play around with stuff now. I don't want to take something up half the page. I mean, that one works. Yeah, all right. I'm just gonna close everything. We're gonna minimize this. We're gonna open up NearBeach. We're gonna open up the source. We want, this would actually be pages now. So login. And I'm gonna create probably all the login stuff under here for the moment. Now we don't want the hello world anymore. When we actually have this, I'll close this. We'll open up this on here. We've got the body, and we've got the app. So straight away, what I want to do is I want to open up the styles. I'm going to open up the main styles for a second. We should have a body in here. Oh, we don't. Okay, that's not a problem. But what we could do is we can go div class equals login. Easy done. Down here, we'll just go login, and then what we want to do is width 100% view width. Height is going to be 100% view d. Is it dv? Yeah. Display view height. That's for iPhones and stuff like that. They'll have the little bar that, oh, dynamic, not display. They have the little address bar that pops up and down, and that actually affects the display and so forth like that. The next thing we want to do is background color. Is we're going to pick a background color. We're probably going to pick the dark. Now, you'll notice instantly that the body actually has a padding and margin. We're just going to go over into our login stuff, and at the very, very top, we're just going to go body, margin, 0, padding, 0. And boom, that takes up the whole entire screen. So I'm happy with that. Now, what we want to do... So we want a login image folder. And in here, we're going to create a Vue component called login image. We're going to go, all right, sweet. We're just going to put hello world in there for the moment. Don't worry about that. I'm going to move that over there. So we're all happy with that. We've got the login, and then what we want is login image. I'm just going to do something like that for the moment. All right. Another thing we want to actually do is we want the login panel. Now I keep forgetting if panel spelt with 1P or 2Ps. Apparently 1P. Alright. Cool. My schooling didn't fail me. And we're just going to leave it like that for the moment. And then in here, we're just going to go login panel. We're going to leave it like that for the moment. And we should be happy. So when we go in here, we can see both of them are like that. Yep, easy done. What we've got to do is, with VueJS, oops, I've got to put that on that. And GB, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. What have you been up to? I see your Discord is busy. So VueJS get screen width, or I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we want to do. Hey, stop moving stuff up and down. Return to all right. That's the old way of doing things. And mobile, I want to hide the footer when you're doing okay. Busy day. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, I know I've done this already for the nav bar. So I'm just going to double check what I have done. Okay, that's just that. Main class, computed, navbar. Alright, that's just that. Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. Alright. It might be a CSS thing that I do. Might be a lot easier. Yeah, it was cold and rainy, so I stayed in. It got work done. No, fair enough. Fair enough. It is hot and boiling here at the moment, so... Well, 25 degrees. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. For those on Freedom units, those are 77. Yeah, 47% humidity. It's probably a little bit higher in my room at the moment. Yeah. Alright, so what I want to do here, I want to go display. We're going to go flex, flex direction. is going to be in a row. On mobile, I kind of want to hide the image. I'm just wondering what can we do on tablet, and we'll come to that when we come to that. So, wouldn't mind that right now. Lol, it's like, oh, all right, yeah, it's almost frozen there. So yes, that is definitely cold. Another thing that I want to do is I want to go anything dot login image. Actually, we can do this on the login image side of things. I don't want to confuse this up here. So what we can do is in here, we can go get rid of that. We've got ourselves a login image. Easy done. And then what we want to do, display none. Except that would be medium screen. We'll display it as a block. Alright, so if we go back here, I need an image in here, so I'm just going to write image test. Easy done. So we've got image test over here. If I go into mobile mode, notice how the image test disappears. If I flip that, we've got the image test that comes back. So that's kind of what we want. I think, yeah, this screen size should be perfectly fine. I'm just wanting to know what I'm going to do with this image in here. And this is where we want to import computed from Vue. And cheers, McDev. Hopefully you're going well. Actually, I kind of... Now this is where I realize I have forgotten the new onMount method. Lifestyle hooks. Alright, yep. Compositions, yep. Script. Oh, so it's just that. Alright, cool. I'm not... Alright, I do need to import unmounted. There it goes. So unmounted, we're just going to do this. I also need from here the ref. Pretty much gets to freezing after the sun goes down. Damn. Yep, fair enough. That be cold. So, yeah. Alright, we're just going to go const image source equals computed. Not computed, sorry. Ref. And at the moment, it defaults to that. And what I want to do is if we go to demo.NearBeach app and stuff like that, we click on this. We've got the background style for that class and stuff like that. If we actually open it up, you'll notice that it's pretty much static background, but you can change it by just doing something like this. We've got the 001s. Yeah, that's a very old picture. I think 2019. I took that one. Yeah, 2019. These are. See, I designed it so the login will go here and cover the road, and you've got this. I had a good thought about this. Login will cover this. It did cover the cow. Login would have used to go here, so you see the boat and stuff like that. So I actually had login used to go here. So I'm just going to grab that at the moment. I'm just going to paste that in, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that to comment it out. I did not copy the right thing there. There we go. All right, so on mounted, we've got the image source. We've got this. Now, the problem is I don't know what the static file location will be. In theory, because someone could potentially change it. Now that's not something hard that we can actually push down into this application. It's rather, it's simple. And how we would do that is on the template itself. So if we go into NearBeach, we go into templates, we go into NearBeach itself, and we double click on the auth template. I'm gonna get rid of that so you guys can see this fully. We've got the ID app here, and what I could do, A, I could bump those in so they're proper, and 2, I can actually change this to login app. And then I can update the login TS to be login app. There we go. And then I can do something like this. Maybe not. So originally I was able to pass through the old sort of static files that way. So if we actually go to GitHub, NearBeach, we go to NearBeach, we go to the views, sorry, the templates, not the views. NearBeach again. Let's go to authentication and the login page and stuff like that. So in here, it goes through its thing. We didn't actually, we didn't use view here. So that's annoying. If we go to, let's say projects, all right, and then go project information. We used to do this. Where we used to bring down the static images and stuff like that. And we used to do something like this, which we could put in for testing purposes. Like so. Let's test it. So const props equals define props, and what we have is static URL. That is going to be type of string. Default is just going to be static. And we'll be happy with that. If I go back down here and I just refresh, yeah. Invalid block tag, 15 static. Did you forget to load this tag? Yeah, we did. And the problem is, it's not going to like us at all, because in reality it wants something like that, but we don't have a / in here. Yeah. Oh, wait, hang on a minute. We got further down then. Okay. I'm just going to bump this off to the left. What we're actually going to do is we're going to have a look in the view. We've got the login. We've got the static URL being /static. I want to check one thing. So we're going to go into the login view. We're going to default to default. Oh, that should be just that. We're going back over here. I'm just going to hit refresh just in case. All right. Yeah, it doesn't override it. If we view the page source, and I'll zoom in. Yeah, it's just got that. Damn it. Alright, not a problem. We can certainly figure something out. So that's got the source styles and logins. Reminds me, I need to share my login templates. Okay, fair enough. All right. Now we've got it like that for the login.view. This is... I've done it at the wrong level. So I'm just giving it a bit of a think. Because, yeah, it's going to hit this. And this is a login TS. Trying to figure out what designs I like. Oh, fair enough, yeah. We're definitely going to be playing around with the login. And what's going to actually happen is I'm going to pick one design where the images no longer work for it, and I'm going to have to go out and take more images, which I'm not going to complain about. Let's just say it'll give me an excuse to go out with my camera. So this is going to mount the log in app. And that's going to place it onto... Yeah, I don't think I can pass it down. Because in these other cases, what I've done is I've put these inside the app itself. So it's not loading the component. It sees these, then loads that component. I mean, I could try that out. What I could do, I could mount that. But we need a component. Yeah. Now, all of this being said, what are we trying to solve here? With the static files, they can be hosted on a CDN. That's what we're trying to solve. Or they could be coming from the system itself. So I do kind of want to pass the static information down into the login app. Now another thing I could potentially do is I could boot up all the components, fetch that information, and Bob's your uncle. But I just want one call to get this to boot up. So there's a couple of things that we can actually do here. If I go here and go data attribute, let's say data, let's say static URL equals, and then I just hard code in static like so. Let's go over into here. I'm just going to refresh this page. I'm getting rid of the mobile view so you guys can see it. So you can see the static URL is default here, but if I go to inspect this, we've got a data static URL. And what I could potentially do is on mount, I could probably collect that information. So if we go into the login, the login image on mount, let's actually collect that. So what we want to do, fetch static from ID. Login app. Another thing I could potentially do, hold on, before I go with that, VueJS, pass variables through app. Like others said, you can do this hold on, move that to the right. Like others have said, you can do this at runtime via network request. If you don't know where you're developing until you're live, you can do something like this. I mean, all right. So what we could potentially do is get the page to load on mount, and then it fetches the data from an API. And it should be a very quick call because all we need back from that is the static URL location, whether or not that is a CDN or their local, their own infrastructure. That's pretty easy to build. That should also be extremely fast to sort of build, and we can use it for other components in NearBeach. So for example, when you load the page, you kind of want that information anyway. We can also get it so that it can fetch user permissions and sends that at the same time, which is what I'm liking, and that is something we've actually got to solve later. Alright, I'm liking that idea because then I can extend it further and further and further and further. Okay. Yep. Alright. That way it stays dynamic, because I still want the ability for people to use CDNs in case they've got one instance, but then they set up people. For example, in Australia, you might have your hosting in, let's say, Sydney or Melbourne or something like that, but you've got people over in Western Australia. You don't want them having an extra second wait or something like that, because everything is in Sydney, Melbourne. What you kind of want is you want all those static files like the JavaScript, CSS, and so forth like that to be near them. So you would use a CDN. And then there's other cases where you don't want that. Let's say you've got something that's local on your own intranet, and you don't want to have a CDN, so you still want those sort of assets deployed from your server. So yeah, I think this is a problem we've got to solve. Whether I solve it this second or not, I'm going to say no. Solving it at this second. So to do, actually, We're not going to worry about props. We're not going to worry about this. But we are going to put a to-do in here. Handle the static URL definition. So yeah, use CDNs to use stuff I don't really feel like installing. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've got a vague idea what I want to do. So I do know I need user permissions. I do know I need a bunch of stuff from the back end when the person loads up their page straight initially. That way, what I could do is I can create an endpoint, like a user permission endpoint or something like that, and it'll return extra information that I require. I think that's how I want to solve it, but instead of it just being called user permission, we'll call it initial user data or something like that. We'll figure out a proper name later. But first, I want to get the design done first. I'm bogging myself down in the details. Let's get started. So first off, what I want to do is I want to actually fetch a number between 1 and 5. I keep forgetting how to do this. JavaScript random number between 1 and 5. Is that it? Now, this doesn't need to be secure. Oh, that is it. All right. Sweet. Paste that in. We're just going to go call it const image number equals that. And then what we want to do is we want to go ref.value equals. I'm just grabbing this. I'm going to paste it there. Socks is getting her fluffy butt in the way. Oops. Now I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. And we're just going to go image number there. I mean, it's simple. This is all we really need to do. Now, it's not liking that value. Oh, because it's image source. Whoops. There you go. Now, what I can do down here is image. We can ignore the class. We can go source equals image source. We'll leave it at that. We're going to implement more things later and so forth like that. So don't worry about that. Now that's complaining because we need an alt login image. All right, cool. Let's go over here. There we go. Now that's just taking over the whole entire page. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. We're going to fix that up. So yeah, we're going to fix that up. And another thing that we're going to do is we'll probably do something a little bit smarter. When I actually do take the images and so forth like that, I'll give one. We probably won't do it for mobile. We'll probably do it for tablet and desktop. And we'll take 2 different resolutions. That way, if someone's on a tablet, they don't need to download as much. So, we're happy with that. I just want to go over here. I just want to be like, all right, cool. So why is that image? Display flex. All right. So straight off the bat, I've made a mistake. Easy done. This is login image, and what we want to do is we want to have a max width of 50% of the view width, like so. Oh, all right. is where I need to do something here. That's not a problem. So the image always will go out of it. That's not too much of a problem. What we can do is overflow clip, I think it is. Oh no, I can't use that. All right. Yeah, we can do that, and then what I can do is margin. Let's go for REMs. Now that being said, that doesn't, sorry Socks, you are really in the way at the moment. Here we go, sweetie. There we go. You can see it doesn't fit in there at all. I'm not liking how that's an image. What I could potentially do is I can just go and create it as div, and then I go and call it an image container, like so. And then we can deal with the style in here. So what I could actually do is I can go style equals. Now that had I don't think that will work, but hey, we'll test it out. Oops. Just refresh the wrong page. I mean, all right. Socks is licking me a little bit. All right, Socks, can I have my arm back? No, I need my arm back. Thank you. Oh, I didn't put the, I didn't delete the image, that's why. All right, so yeah, that didn't, it's there. Okay, background image is there. So if I go width 100% and height 100%, it's probably because I need content in there. Shoot. All right. I got the. Yeah. All right. I just need to probably do a couple of things. So I'm just going to delete that for the moment. What I want to do, actually, I'm going to undo that, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to leave it like that for the moment, but I am going to go down here, and I am going to go under that. I want the image. I want to set the margin as 1 rem on all sides. And then what I want to do is I want to go with, it's going to be calculated 100% minus 2 rem. And I'm going to do the same with the height. And then there's a couple of other things which I want to do. Dealing with that, that's looking a lot better. And if we go with the login images, yeah, that's looking a lot better. That's what I wanted to do. And then I want to do border radius. I don't want 50%. I want the variable border radius. That gives us consistency with the border radius. All right, cool. Image. All right, I know that there's a couple of styling tags I've definitely forgot. Class fit, yeah, fit picture. We want the CSS. All right. Supported to do. Yep. Image loading errors. Yep. We'll also put a screen reader not to read the section too. We'll flag the screen reader to not bother with this, because if someone can't see the screen, we won't get them to read it. Source alt, yep. Cross origin, all of that kind of stuff. Styling with CSS, that's what we want. Border width, margin, replacement, vertical, object position. Yeah, all right, cool. We want contain for the object, and I'm going to go center. Now, that's object fit, so it squeezes everything down to fit in it. Sorry, contain. Sorry, cover is what I want. Now, in most of my cases, what I want to do is I actually want it to be on the left, because that's how I sort of shot these photos and stuff like that. But if I redo this, I'll redo the images where I take into account this, and I'll do portrait. So yeah, we want not contain cover. I'm going to go center. So that's looking a lot better, and load in pretty well. Some of those images work. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. This one actually surprisingly does. That one surprisingly does. All right. So I'm happy with that. That's fairly good. Let's work on the div class equals login panel. Like so. We'll go down here. We'll go login panel. We'll do something like that. We're gonna go margin auto. And we're going to go background color. I'm going to pick a dark color for the moment, and the reason being is I just want to see how things are laying out on here. I'm not going to be too fussed. So we've got rid of most things, and this is where I will have, we kind of want the NearBeach logo. Yeah, we want the NearBeach logo. It's pretty much this. So I'm just going to just put in an image. We're just going to go source equals. We're just going to paste that in for the moment. I'm going to leave it like that. It looks like that. I understand. We will get around to fixing that. What I want to do, I do want to do a H1 login to NearBeach, or NearBeach login, I should say. Yeah, I'm definitely getting rid of that. That happens straight away. All right, so we've got that. I'm just going to include everything at the moment. So we'll have a form group in here. This is where I've got to look up how I actually implemented these. Actually, I don't need the form group. What I need the text input. Label's going to be email. Type is going to be email. And then we'll have something like that. As you see, they come through like this. That's all right. That's fine so far. I'm gonna get rid of that background color. I think now it's more distracting, considering we kind of want something like this. I need to make sure those CSS styles work well, so I'm just going to go into style. I need this into the login, so I'm just going to go all the way down. We're just going to paste that into here. However, I don't need the text area. That's not needed. These are needed. Those 4 are needed. All of those are not needed. We only need the H1. We're trying to minify this as much as possible for the user. So we've got that's looking really large. So I might actually use compact on those. So if we go down here, wrong one. Made a mistake, easy done. So label email type. Type doesn't work. Yeah, type does not work. Oops, go to that declaration. Thank you very much. Is required. All right, I'm just double checking what we've got in here. So is required, that will need to be true. And that needs to be is required equals true, like so. Label we've got as email. Min length, max length. We're going to leave placeholder text. Your email address. All right, cool. Tooltip message we won't need. Tooltip title we won't need. All right, cool. Now there is going to be a text input which I'm going to use, which will actually be pretty similar to this one, but it will be. I'm just going to have a look at my components. So this is prefab. We don't have an email one, which is what I'll replace this with, because then I can add in some validation with that too. And we don't have a password one, which once again, we can then do some validation and stuff like that with it. All right, so for the moment, we'll just do that. So we've got this field is required. We'll need that down there, and we'll need a button. Yeah, I'm going to compact those. Oh, hold on. Holy hell, I just broke something. All right. Is required. What else did I have? Sorry, I'm just going through this all over again. I just hit a random button and deleted something. Placeholder text. Your email address. And then up here, I actually want to put class first, so hence I'm... Oh, piss off! It's the second time that's happened. My God. Class equals compact. Yeah, that's so much better. So class equals compact. I'm just going to use the mouse now. All right. We might do a... Yeah, we might do a password one. I don't want to have a field as password and then pass this through and have to type B text, change the password and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, just becomes more complicated. So we've got this. These are still doing their thing where when you click on them, they add in a little bit of border. But in reality, they shouldn't be doing that. I'll have to figure that out later. Alright, cool. So that's the basics. So we've got email, we've got password required is true for that one. So if we're going to go back into the login panel, we're going to need to go down here, is right equals true. We're also changing that so it's like that. And then we've got all of that. Then we need forgotten password. So we'll probably have a little bit of a break between these two. And what we can do is we can have just an anchor tag. We go /login / forgot password. And we could do something like that, which I like. So we've got the forgotten password. What we can do down here is we can do everything with an A. We could go font size is going to be 0.75 rem. So it's something like that. Font weight is going to be 100. We want that as tiny as possible, which I don't think we have the lighter version there. All right. No problem. Let's see how this one looks. Yeah, we've got a bit of space around everything. We don't have any sort of space here. We can add in a little... Yeah, this is compact enough. In fact, what I want to do, I want to add in a button component. I want the object state to be normal. Actually, we'll go figure out the state in a second. And the label. All right, object state required equals true. Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't have a default for that, because we go through the validation of it. But we do want the state to come through, because when we click on that button, we want it to change those sort of states. We're just going to grab this to from up here. We're just going to paste it down there. What we're going to do is we're going to change this into something like that. We are going to import ref from view, and then we're going to go define ref. We're going to go const button state equals ref. Now the first step it should be is object state enum dot no action. All right, because there's no action at the moment. We're fine with this. And then down here, all we're going to do is button state. Now, there is a weird reason why I got label. And if we go scrolling all the way down, and we've got button text. So the button text will equal the it's because, and I could probably do this a better way. It's because I changed the button text depending on the state. Now, in the future, what I could potentially do is I could hide stuff and do all that kind of fun stuff. I could make this button a little bit better. Let's just say that. For example, I could put the opacity of the slot to 0, and I could then overlay some text on top if it reaches, like, let's say loading, saving, or error. So yeah. All right, let's get back to this. So we've got the label. I'm going to have sign in. So if we go over here, we've got the sign in. Cool. Everyone's happy. Another thing which I want to do with the login panel is I want to go display flex. Flex direction is going to be a column. And we're going to have a width of 100%. All right. Now you might be thinking, man, that's crazy. Yes. But if we go back into mobile view, we're going to fix this up. So, straight at the bat, flex start, align items, oops, justify items, sorry, justify content, flex start. So if we go into here, oh, I might have got that wrong. So we've got the login panel. It's because I got the margin auto. So straight off the bat, we're getting rid of the margin auto. We're going to put that up there. We're getting rid of all of that. The flex direction, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. We're going to deal with the mobile platform first. So let's go, and I'm actually going to raise up my desk because I'm sick and tired of sitting on this creaky stool. Up. Every time I look away from it, it stops. All right. All right, so we've got the flex direction column, we've got the width. I want margin. In this sort of case, I'm gonna go 5 rem. I'm gonna go 1 rem. I'm gonna go auto for the bottom and 1 rem on that side. I think that looks good. Now on mobile phone, How will that look? And in reality, we could actually put the image at the bottom. This is an iPhone 11. I think we'll still... Hang on. All right, iPhone 11 it is. I was thinking we could look at iPhone 6 because it's a lot smaller, but no, I think this will be good. So you got the email. All right, we need the forgotten password to be bumped down a little bit, but let's get this layout perfect first. So the next thing is, if I rotate it, we need to sort of change that. So that's not a problem. If I bump up into an iPad, that's where we need to change things. So I'm going to move down here. And we're just going to increase this until we, I think... Yeah, I want to handle it way sooner than that. So what I want to do is I want to go into styles, I want to go into the variables, I want to go media 1. So we've got the small screen 640. So if I go into here, 640, I mean, sure, we can split that image open at 640. I don't think there's enough space on the screen for an image and that. All right, cool. I'm just moving this over here. So what I want to do is down here at media. That would be small screen. We are going to change the width. It's going to be 75 view width. I should also change this to 100% view width. So if we go just a little under, yeah, it's like that, it's like that. Everyone's happy, then boom, it's like that. I'm just going to make sure that we're not, cool. And then, yeah, when it's like that, we do that. And then what I need to do, I'm going to go margin. Now, this is where I'm just going to go auto. So I think the screen is big enough for us to shove that in the middle. And we'll be happy with that. The next screen we've got is the medium screen. So that's 768. In which case, I'm going to say, yeah, we want to sort of introduce the images into there at that particular point. So we're going to go at media, medium, screen. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go width is going to be 100%. We want margin to be auto for the top and bottom, but 1 rem for the sides. And that should fit perfectly fine in there. And I like that. And then if someone were to, let's say, do it on an iPad, so you got it like that, and then you flip it like that. I mean, that works really well. We will do a maxed width though, because the bigger the screen gets, the less you want to sort of show. So that's 508 there. I'm going to have a look at my general. I think that would do well. There goes Sucks. Say hi to everyone. You going to say hi to everyone? You're demanding treats, aren't you? She's like, yeah, I want treats. All right. There you go. In your bed. We might as well yank that. So we've got the login panel. And then I'm just going to go max width. It's going to be this variable. And it should be that. And then in this sort of case, it should be auto. Oh, and we've just hit an add break. All right, how's everyone going? We have Socks here. She's like, yeah. Give me treats. For those wondering on YouTube, wondering what's happening, on Twitch we run ads every half an hour. I've accidentally missed a couple. Yeah, the idea being is we tend to stop working so no one misses out on any content or anything like that. So yeah, no, I can't do this trick yet. When you're like, oh, wrong way. Oh no. Oh. Yeah. Hopefully everyone's going well. We are slowly getting through this tonight. I've got to think also if we're going to do the login through the API and the forgotten password through the API, or are we going to use the controller? I got to think about it because I want to also down the track implement OAuth and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I've got a little bit of research to do. Let's just say that. And welcome back, everyone. Let's get right back into it. So this is looking really, really nice. If we go back to that 768 with this one doesn't work very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go media, large screen, and I'm just going to paste that one in. And here it's going to be auto and 1 RM. And here margin auto. So we'll still have this. Now there's a bigger gap here than there is here. I know that's going to annoy a lot of people. And it's something we can fix very, very quickly. In this case, what I will probably do is if I inspect this, so we've got the image, what we have is, we've got the width, I will knock 1 RM off that. We've got the margin, we'll have 1, 0, 1 RM, 1 RM. We'll do something like that, and that looks a lot nicer. So we'll do that very, very quickly. But first, we're now going to go back down to the iPhone. So it's not going to happen with the iPhone unless we bump it off to that. But then that's working. That's working because I've implemented it already. So this will start appearing on the small screen, I think, 640. No, sorry, not small screen, medium screen, 768. So like that. All right. So I'm just going to go over here. We're going to go back down to the login image. We're going to scroll all the way down. We're just going to edit this very, very quickly. 0, 1 RM, 1 RM. Easy done. We then bump this down to 1. For the width, the height, and all that kind of stuff is fine. We're just going to hit refresh. There we go. So that lines up very... I like it. It lines up. The next thing I want to do is check out the iPad. So yeah, this one works perfectly fine. If we flip it, this one works perfectly fine. And then as you can see, it's starting to get bigger. Now the forgotten password, I've got to take that somewhere else. That's not going to be a problem. All right. Might mean that we might need routing set on here. So Yeah, all right. That's fine. We can implement routing. Won't take us long to actually do that. Oops, nearly dropped the ball. All right, Socks. People actually watch the stream for you. All right, I do want to get that forgotten password a little bit further down though. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go this, that, and then I'm going to go margin top. I'm just going to give it 1 REM to see what that looks like. And then I'm just going to refresh this page, and it looks like I can do it. Because I probably did that in the very worst place possible. Yeah, I did. Login panel. What we want to do, it's right there. And then we go margin top. And we're just going to go 1 REM. There we go. And I think that looks really, really nice. All right, I am going to get rid of that so we can hover. So yeah, we've just got to fix up the forgotten password. That's pretty easy. We're going to create a password field. That won't take us too long to do. It'll be based off the text field. And then we'll probably, I do have to fix up the this issue when you select them. It's expanding at the top and bottom, just that slight amount. It's a pixel. That's the thing. It is a pixel's worth. It is pissing me off. So let's fix that up also. I'm just going to minimize everything. I'm going to open up NearBeach. We're going to open up the source. I'm going to open up the good old components prefab, and we're going to go the text input. I'm going to open up the text input and put it over here. This is just a quick sort of thing. If we scroll down here, and I'm just going to minimize this so you guys can actually see, we've got the @compact. We don't have any of that in there. We've got the text input, label, span, input, and then at the focus, yeah, it's meant to be that. It's gonna refresh. Actually might be. They want you to see you, Socks. She's like, no. No one's giving me treats. Yeah, it's just, it bumps it just the tiniest amount. It's like it's not paying attention to the focus of it. I am just gonna put on the focus. Oh yeah, I want to get rid of that. Let's move that to the left. Let's just have a look at this input password. We should see a focus event in here. So if I click on that, we do have that. We've got this overriding it because it's compact. All right. Gonna undo that. What I'm going to do, because this is cascading, the bottom one always takes precedent. So we've got the input down here. We just need the focus for that input. I'm just going to copy that. We're just going to paste it into here. We're going to lint these. We're going to get rid of that. We don't need it. Border width we don't need. Outline we don't need. We just need this. And we just needed it up here, like so. All right, so I need the padding. Match something like that. I'm just gonna refresh. It's like the tiniest pixel. So I'll bump this off to the right so you can see. So yeah, it's just not doing what I want. Yeah, it just bumps it up by just one tiny pixel, which annoys the hell out of me. But yeah, the border for the focus, sorry, excuse me, should be border width 2 pixels. And I mean, in reality, we can make that a 1 pixel, but it doesn't look as good. Now, we could make these borders 2 pixels by default, and we won't have this problem. Which, yeah, would be the smarter solution to do this, but I kind of wanted it so that if, and it only happens, it's like the tiniest movement. Oh man. Yeah, the idea being is I kind of want the focus to sort of look a little bit different. Have a thicker border so you know it's that one that you're using. Yeah, that's my logic behind it. Alright. But at least that minimizes quite a bit of it, so I'm not too fussed. Alright. We need the password field and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-hand click. We're going to go new. We're going to go this. We're going to go password input. We're going to copy this text input. We're just going to do that. We're going to add it in very, very quickly. We're going to have a look at everything. So is valid. I mean, I'm just going to double check that. So with the check validation, has error, is false, error message equals value. Yep. We're never going to set the length at all. Is required. All right, actually, I need that. All right, so we do need is required. Check the minimum. We won't do minimum maximum for this. Doesn't make sense. Minimum might. Give me 2 seconds. minimum length, list. This validator enforces the default minimum of 8 characters. All right. So I'm gonna say, yeah, we'll need this. We'll need the min and the max. Django. We'll also have a look at the maximum length. Oh. All right. Oh, but this is very, very old. All right. Yep. Alright, so I've corrected there. Vanilla Java doesn't care what the. Alright, cool. So we don't need max length. Min length we will, max length we won't. Placeholder text, tooltip, and ooh, would we want? I'm gonna say. Haven't seen it. Okay, no, stand corrected. All right. Probably need it. Tooltips. I'll get the tooltips in there. I can see us using it. Has error message, get ID. Yeah, we still want the get ID and all that kind of stuff. Check validation. Yeah, we just don't have the max in here. So we've got label, tooltip stuff. We've got the label. Yep, all right, cool. Import, we've got this, and this is changing to password. All right, easy done. All right, cool. And then we've got the render error message and all that kind of stuff. So now that we've found out a little bit of information, what we can actually do is we can go back over here with the login panel. With the text input, we can go min length equals 8. And that way, someone over here can start typing and it will do that thing. Now, that's actually going to be now password input. So if we go back over here, I'm just going to refresh. We've got our password field and we've got our email address. There's other things that I need to put in here, like I need to flag that one's the username, one's the email, one's the password. A lot of login pages have that sort of thing, so actually doing autofill is a lot easier. So if I go support NearBeach, notice how it fills it in. All right, cool. So that just works. Import password. All right. No, that works. I'm happy with that. And then we've got type password. Placeholder is nothing at the moment. So I am going to put placeholder text equals your password. I mean, I don't need to rewrite the wheel here whatsoever. All right, that's looking a lot nicer. We now got to sort of get the routing done here. So when we've got a routing problem, what will actually show up is the what am I trying to think of? Sorry, brain, you go. When someone's forgotten their password, what we want to do is have a forgotten password field appear here. They can type in their forgotten password and then reset that. Also at the same time going back to the previous sort of page. We'll also need to handle when the person resets their password, it's going to come here to a login reset password, and we want them to key in the new password, in which case that's going to set it off to the back end and get that resetted, which will be good. All right. Yep. All right. I like that idea. So let's get that started. I'm just gonna close other tabs. I'm just gonna close everything. We're just gonna look at this with fresh eyes now because I'm happy with this for the moment. We're definitely gonna come back and fix up a few things. We could make that compact. No. No, I don't like it compact. I like it like that. Alright. Going with this, what we want to do is we want to have a look at router. So at the moment, we've got the router. This is just our basic sort of router that we've put into here, and we're all happy with that. However, we want to create a new one, and we want to call it login router.ts. We're going to add it into the source. We're going to move this one over here for reference. Up at the top, we want to import create router. Yeah, sure. And then we want async components. And this is where we're going to click on this. Now we've got pages, we've got login here, we've got those might need to move over into components because they're technically components, and then we'll have pages in here, login, reset password, and forgotten password. No, sorry, because no, that doesn't make sense. Sorry, I'm just fighting my own brain here and trying to be consistent instead of putting things all over the shop. We've got the prefab, we've got the async components. The login will be a single page itself. That will be the login page. But then we've got password reset. In which case, yeah, I'm more leaning on a lot of this should be moving out from here. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna refactor that. That's perfectly fine. We've got the app, we've got those two. We're going to refactor those out. We're just going to delete this. That's fine. Sometimes we'll move things around, but I'm not too fussed about that. What we've got is components. We've got the login. This is, I'm instantly going login page. I'm going to move that into there. We're definitely going to do a refactor for that. With the login page, I want to right-hand click. I want to refactor, rename, and I want to call it login page.view. So that makes sense. The login panel will belong in the login page. We're not going to be using it anywhere else. So that makes sense going down there. The login image itself, we're going to use on other components, other pages. So we're going to leave that at a higher level. Then what I want is password reset and forgotten password. All right. So in here, we're going to go with view component. We're going to go forgotten password. We're just going to add that straight in. And then down here, we're going to go password reset. We're going to add those both in. So these are technically pages. So what we'll have here, we'll have password reset panel. We'll add that in. And we'll have forgotten password panel. So we've added in quite a lot of stuff now. From here, what I want to do is handle the routing first. So we've got the login router. Let's go const login page equals. We're doing something like this, and then we're going to go import at components. Login page. All right, perfect. Actually, no, that's wrong now. That should be better. And then const, we'll have forgotten password. Import at components. Oops, I'm going to do this in this. At component, forgotten password view. Now this has to belong up there. And then const password reset. And then we've got our password reset. So I'm happy with all of that. And then what I want to do, define the routes. We're going to go const routes equals, and then we've got something like this. And then in here, what we'll have is we'll have a path. We'll have login. There'll be the login page. We'll have a login. We won't need destinate any meta sort of stuff because I don't need any of that meta stuff. Oh God, no, stop. Thank you. Why are you all red now? Thank you. We'll have path. Login, forgotten password. Oh, and we've just had an ad break. I've just got to run around. I will be back very shortly. Give me a minute. I'm just gonna make sure the cat's is inside. She's not happy. She's like, no, I don't want to go inside. No, we're almost finished the ad break. We've got about 14 seconds left. You can see Grumpy Socks right here. She's like, no, I'm inside again. She was hoping to catch some bugs and eat them. But no, she's not allowed outside at this time. Alright, welcome back everyone. We're getting back right into it. So we've got the forgotten password. We're happy with that. I should do that. Component, forgotten password, name, forgotten password. I'm happy with that. We'll probably move that above here. Thinking alphabetically ordered. Actually, no. That's still alphabetically ordered. Alright. And then path, we'll have login, and this is password reset. It'll be the path, yep, it'll be that. Name, password reset. We'll keep it consistent. This has been a while since I've actually done any of this. We won't. We'll have a fallback. And we'll just do that. Alright, so we'll have the router set up, and the const router equals create route. Socks, your head's in the way. History. Going to be create web history, though I don't feel like we need it, and it should be like that. And then export routes, export default router. All right, cool. Easy done. So what I want to do is I want to open up the login. We're going to need to actually edit this now. I'm going to open up the main.ts. We're going to shove it over here for reference. Because, yeah, we can. Yeah, we don't need the stars there anymore. Oops, socks. All right, fine. Run away, socks. So, now they've got an app. Now, if we open up the app itself, we've got component, router view. This is pretty much it. So we'll probably need to build in a login app.view. And this is where we might need the pages back. All right. Sorry, I will make up my mind on one thing and then change it. And then move everything around and all that kind of fun stuff. But that's part of figuring out how we want to structure NearBeach moving forward. So we'll have a view component file called login app, like that. And it's going to be similar to our app file itself. That's not going to be a problem. We're just going to move that over there for reference. I've just marked that up. I'm just going to click on that. I'm just going to do that. What we want to do is we don't need any of that. We don't need the store. We don't need that. It's literally just going to be main ID equals main. We don't need to worry about the class. Area labeled by equals main title. Role equals main. And then we'll need the router view is going to be a vslot equals component. Transition name equals fade. Yeah, we'll transition this in, move in and out. Yeah, we'll do something like that. I'll do something like that. Oh, there we go. That's where we... Alright. So, some of this I'll need to redo. That's fine. Import login app from pages login app.view. Then we go down here and we go login app. Done. Alright, I'm not too fussed about that. I do know that on the login page, we have this data here, which we can get rid of now. So if we go to the login app, we can paste that in there. So that should still work over here. We've made a mistake somewhere, but not to worry, we'll fix this up in a second. Somewhere. Somehow. What do I want to do? So we've got the dot main. That's an ID main. So I think it's like that. Actually, no, it'll be main. It'll be that. Yep. All right. Sweet. We do need to, on the login page, we've got the login panel, which I'll need to go down here. We actually need to put in an ID equals main title in here, and that's just for the screen readers and so forth like that, because we're telling the screen readers to read that, which is done up here. So we're saying the main title is going to be that, and yeah. All right, so with the main, we've got all of that nav open. We're going to copy this stuff down here, so I don't need to copy. Thank you. Because once the component loads in, it'll fade in. Which is kind of what we want, hopefully. Or, yeah, just to have transitions and so forth like that. Now, we'll fix all of this up in a second. Oh, all right. All right, yep. No, I'm not too worried. We will figure this one out. I'm just going to close other tabs for the moment. Actually, I'm just going to close everything. Close all tabs. So we've got the login app. I think we've got to do a little bit more for this. We've got the app view. I'm going to bring the app view over there. We're going to do this. I'm going to scroll up, realize that, yeah, we're missing quite a lot for this. So I know that under login TS and main TS, we're missing stuff. So I'm going to put login over here. So we've got the create app. We don't need Pinia. We've got the create app. We've got the import app. Yep, which we're doing. We've got the internationalization. We don't have the router, so we're going to import router from router.loginrouter.ts. Now another thing is what I could do is I could make this consistent. I could do something like that. I could go back into my router and go login router, scroll all the way down here. Instead of exporting something like routes, we could do export default. We could do a login router instead. We could still have routes in here just in case we need to import the routes, but yeah, the default router like that should technically work. So we've got the create that, we've got the use that, and I think we want login app.use, and we want login router up there up the top. Internationalization and login out of there. Yeah, we'll keep that one in. I put user instead. I did it again. There you go. Use. Now, I'm not too worried about this at the moment because I just need to rerun that. Now, if I reload this, something is going to break. We go over here. Yeah, we know something's broken. So in here, got the router view. Now, I'm not importing any of that. That's use app score, skipped links. Ooh. Yeah, I don't have skipped links. Actually, I won't need skipped links because it's going to be a very small page. We don't have a nav bar to navigate through. There's only going to be a couple of fields in there. It's not required. So, failed to pass source for import analysis because content contains invalid JS syntax. If you're using JSX, make sure you name the file with JSX or... Alright, so something about the transitions might be off. I don't see us importing the transitions on that one, but one way we could do is we can just delete it. Be like, something's really wrong. All right. Something's wrong with the route view. So somewhere along the line, I've missed something. So we've got the polyfill, we've got the create app, we don't need the pinyar. We've got the login view, international, and then we're importing the router. That goes through there, that goes through there. All right. I'm probably making a mistake in the routing itself. But I have a fallback. I've got a catch all. And that should fall back onto the login page. And if I have a look at the router one of that route component, yep, all right, cool. This is pretty simple. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Honestly, don't know. Probably, if it lasted 2 years, probably the crappy one. Yeah. But I don't know. Because you don't want to buy something that's expensive and lasts just about the same amount of time. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I understand. Yeah, my I got my laptops back in 2020 and 2021. I'm not replacing them anytime soon. So yeah, they're expensive. I don't blame you. All right, something's going wrong with the routing here. I just want to try one thing. Now I know that's going to create a different error, and it should. And it didn't. All right, I am shocked. My Razer Blade 18 with i9 GPU becomes a cooking pad. Fair enough. Casing in some kind of metal. Fair enough. Yeah. If the cooling pad, the cheap one, lasted, I would recommend that. And damn, that's hot. Those would get hot. Yeah. All right. So it is definitely the router view that is having a problem here, and I'm definitely missing something. So I'm just scratching my eye. So forgotten password, login page, and password reset. Those should all be fine. If I go into network, I delete that. I've refreshed that. We've got the basic stuff. We've got the client. We've got the login. We've got the login TS module polyfill. Then we've got the VueJS. That, and then we've got the login app.view gets logged in. Gets pulled in, which is what we want. And damn, that is small. That's 1.65 kilobytes. Which is what I want. I want these things to be as small as possible. All right, I know if I get rid of the routing, everything works. And that's the problem. So it's something with the routing. And if I go back to the login router, I'm just going to change this to login router. And I'm going to change this to login routes. Like so. All that should be fine. We should go in here. We've got the login router. We are importing it correctly. I'm just double checking that we don't need... Yeah, I don't need mustache brackets around that. And then let's get rid of that for a second. Yeah, it's still saying something's wrong with the router view. And what I could potentially do is with the app view, I can just in case I've made a mistake somewhere, I'm just going to copy and paste it from there. We're going to rebuild. Still having problems. All right. Failed to pass source. If you're using JSX, make sure. All right. We're probably not building something correctly then. So we're going to go down here. And that's it. That's it. Did I have a login style? Yeah, I did have a login style. What did I call it? Login. Great. We're going to call it login style. We're just going to do something like that. That's incorrect. It will be source styles login style.css. Easy done. We won't need this anymore. All of that's starting again. Now it's getting to this. I don't know how to solve this. All right, home, NearBeach site, source, static pages, login, log it up, with all of that. Main 1224. So right there. All right. Main 1224. So right there. All right. What's the matter, Socks? You want it in the cupboard? There's nothing in the cupboard. She's like, yeah, there is. What are you talking about? She walks in there and then she walks into something. She's like, oh, I didn't want to be in here. All right. Header component we're not needing. Nav component we're not needing. Skip links we're not needing. Nav stores we're not needing. Import on-mounted and computed. So on-mounted, no, we won't need. Computed, no, we won't need. We don't need to import anything. And I don't know why it's not liking that. And if I go to main, that's pretty much the same as the login. The router's the same. Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna think about this and why it doesn't like the router. Is it even building my things properly? So it's loading in login app. Hey, sucks. And it is loading in the login TS, which is good, which is what we want it to. Should also be loading in the styles for that too, which is good, which is what we want it to do. Let's bump this off to the left so you guys can see it. So that's incorrect. All right, so let's fix that up first. Let's go to NearBeach. Let's open up the templates. Let's open up the NearBeach. Let's authentication. I'll bump this off to over here. We'll Can I just get rid of that? Thank you. All right, get rid of that. And what I want to do is, we've got NearBeach login. This is no longer like this. This will be login styles to match our rename down here. And this will be source login.typescript. All right, cool. We're happy with that. So if I go over here and I refresh, I've still got this problem. The login styles is not found. That's not good. So I'm double checking this. So source styles. Oh, login style. Yep, all right, cool. So that all loads, and then we've got a get problem with this one. So static source pages, login app, There's no data. Corrupted content. Err. All right. Sorry, big yawn happening right now. All right, let's go back into here. We've got the login app. Got all of this. This would be the component. Yeah, this isn't compiling this one correctly. So let's go into the Vite config. There's the main, there's the login. We're happy with that. So login TypeScript. This might need to change. So what I'm going to do, going to do that. Now it's going to kick up a dust. Yeah. Okay. Logged up to view type equals main index by main title role all of that kind of fun stuff. Dot main. Dot yeah, I'm a bit confused about this one. Now, that's the only thing I can think of. And even then, yeah. Now I'm just going to cheat here. I'm going to, oops, see if I do this. It looks stable-ish. It's not going to 100% work because I don't think the yeah, router path should start with a /. All right, that's fine. We can fix that up right now. So the router login all should be like that. Unquote error. Get out of it. All right, we understand why that's actually happening. But the fact of the matter, yeah, that's really weird. I'm just gonna go import login app. And we're just gonna do that. And still, all right. Why does it hate us? I don't know. Just gonna go into here. We're just gonna comment out all of that. All right. We're going to rebuild. All right, it looks stable. We're going to go over here. We're going to refresh the page. It didn't like any of that, so we're just deleting it all. We can remake it. It's going to take us 30 seconds. Cool. Hello world. Oh, I'm an idiot. I've just figured it out. I am a big freaking idiot. I put it outside the templates. That's the most simplest thing that I've muck up I could have done. And it's because I've put it outside the templates. Alright. There we go. I'm an idiot. But we did it. We got through my idiocy. Alright, we've just got to fix a couple of things in here. Now that we've got this set up like this. Oh, I can't believe that I just did that. Oh, I just did that too. We've got to get this to fit the whole page. This looks terrible. So we've got the main down here like this. So we've got the main. We'll also need to do that with the login. All right. So login's going to be perfectly fine. That we're just going to go into the login app. Going to go into components. We're going to go into login page. We've got the login, and then we're just going to go height 100%. That should fill everything out. There we go. Cool. So if they're in here, notice how we've got login, forgotten password still. If I were to paste that into here, it still forwards us like this. We don't want that. Because a person could go there directly. What we kind of want to do is under the back end, we want to go to the URLs. We kind of want to copy something like this. So we're just going to copy it like that. So we're going to do path, but we're going to have login /path. And it's just going to be just that. So if we go up here and let's say we go forgotten password, boom. We're now at forgotten password. I need to fix this up so forgotten password works. So yeah, that won't be hard to do. Yeah, that's the next step we've got to do. And that way, yeah, there's actually, So I'm just thinking of a few things. With the password reset, I'll probably pass through the variable that goes into here. It'll be a simple get. We'll land on the password reset page. We'll double check that the key is valid, and then we'll get the person to key in their new password. But for the forgotten passwords thing at the moment, yeah. All right, so I've got to make sure the routes are fine. So I'm just double checking if I do something like that. No, it goes into something like that. I need to, if I go into here, sorry, the routes itself, we've got the forgotten password. We should be using forgotten password. If I go to that declaration or usage, I want to go to that implementation. Sorry. There. I was hoping to find a quick way to get to it, but no. Not a problem. We've got it down here. What I'm going to do, we're just going to do that. But yeah, it's not, we're not hitting here at all. And I'm just wondering why that is. And I think it is, because we're not matching the routes correctly. But we should be. Yeah, we've passed it through. I'm pretty sure we don't need to do anything else with the router. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this off to the left. We are going to hit the view. We are going to, so what the, we're hitting the catch all. Now, what I want to do, I want to do a couple of tests. This is pretty easy to do. We just go into here. We're just going to yank those 5. We're just going to paste them up like this. I just want to see what happens when I do something like that. So we've got the root, we've got the router. We've got the component. We've got the route being that. Hey socks, yep, thank you. I'm just gonna delete that. Where did we see the route thing? Ah, there we go. We've got the catch all still. That's annoying. What I'm going to do, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in. And boom. I think I just had a spelling mistake somewhere. That's it. All right. We're going to get rid of that. And I'm just wondering if we can do a redirect on, I think, page not found. So I'm just having a quick think. If someone goes to a route which we don't want them doing on this particular thing and we got to catch all. All right, give me 2 seconds. What I'm going to do, view route, catch all goes to login route. All right, we'll just, hey. And it's going to be, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Yeah, we've got all of that before each. All right, view route, redirect. And to answer your question, how I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. We're working on the login screen. So it's coming along really nicely. So the idea is if I click on that, forgotten password, that way someone can actually reset their password and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're getting there. We've got to figure out a few other things. So for example, in the next couple of days, I will be looking at OAuth because I know someone wants me to implement it. Whether or not I implement the authentication in an API or if I do it in a controller. Now, I could do it in both. That's not going to be too much of a problem. But I'm heavily leaning on doing it in the API. Socks, stop, calm down. So... no, you're not too bad. That's good. Using Chatterino to chat with. It's quite good and built by another streamer. Ah, nice. All right, I'm just gonna see what this says. So, we've got to redirect to. All right. That's what I want. So if someone typed in forgotten password, that it didn't redirect. Boo. I'm just gonna refresh. All right. I'll mark that up. All right. Hang on. Let's read the documents. Sorry, sucks. I've got it. Sorry, I'm working. View route. Redirect to. She's like, no. Oh no. Now she's back to looking at my hand. All right, I'm going to do that so you guys can also read along with me. So we've got routes, yada, yada, yada. All right, const routes, path home, redirect that. Okay. Okay. If I... Sorry, sucks. I need my hand back. All right, redirect to, and then we'll go return path is going to be login And that's it. So essentially is this. We won't need to worry about any of this. I don't know why it's... I'm going to ignore it. It's compiling. Find out its types later. And it's not redirecting to the login screen. Oh, I don't have login. I've removed the login. That's... Oh my god. Alright. Path login component login page. Name is login. That is my bad. Alright, so that works. So if I go forgotten password now, that works, but if someone types in something wrong, it should... Yeah, it should forward them to there, and then if they click on forgotten password, it'll take them there. All right, cool. No, I've got this now. This is what we want. I'm in fact redirect to login. I'm just gonna get rid of this because this looks a lot neater. So if it's not quite working. All right, that didn't work. Unless it wants that. Yep, that's what we want. Because yeah, we don't want someone keying in a wrong wrong URL up there and stuff like that. We want it to redirect to the right location. I'm happy with that. That's looking good. We can now kind of work on... Now, I don't know why that's... Yeah, this is just throwing up an issue because it wants types and stuff like that. Don't know if that will work. So if I go forgotten password and I go... Alright, that works. Cool, I'm happy with that. Alright. So yes, very happy with all the routing. We've got the forgotten password now. So this is where we can go in here, div. This is where we look at this one and we're like, alright, cool. That one's fine. That one's all set up, we're fine with that. We want the login page. So we're gonna sort of copy that. So we're gonna paste that in like that, but we're gonna get rid of the login panel. This is gonna be called forgotten password. Down here, we're just gonna go forgotten password. Very similar to the login page with the CSS. We're just gonna copy these 3 lines. We're happy with that. That will just go in there like that. We've got the login image, which is what we want, and then what we've got is the forgotten password panel, like so. We're just going to neaten this up just a little bit. We're going to go import forgotten password panel. from @components login forgotten password panel .view. We're happy with that. Now, if we click on forgotten password, which I've got to fix up. So I'm just going to close a lot of these tabs now. I'm going to go view route, and we're typing in the link specifically that we actually have a link. So we need a router link in there. So on the login panel, it's no longer an A thing. It's going to be this, and it's going to be login forgot password. Oh, I've got forgot password instead of forgotten password. I'm going to quickly change that. We go to update the routes. Yeah, we just made a mistake before. We're just gonna, fix it up. We're gonna go over here. This is go to about not what we want. What we want is login panel, forgotten password, easy done. We're gonna go back over here. We've got the forgotten password. We click on that. Notice how it just fades in, and we're happy with that. And every now and then it'll give us a new image, which we will be happy with. Easy done. So on the forgotten password page, we'll have the forgotten panel, which if we go to that the declaration and usage, we'll also need the login panel stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. We're just referencing it. And I realize I've typed it out like this in utter... I'm going to have to rename that. And then we're going to paste this in. We're going to format it. We're all happy with that. I'm going to double check the other ones that I didn't screw up. So the login panel, that's perfectly fine. The login image, that's perfectly fine. It's only this one. I had a little bit of a, we'll have NearBeach forgotten password here. Text input, email, placeholder will be like your email address. Required true password input. We won't need. We'll need the button state. We won't need any of that. Button state. That will be login panel, that will be the objects. So we just need to do something like this. We're just going to paste that in. We're also going to go import ref from view. We're also going to be define ref. So what we've got is const button state equals ref, where the object state enum is no action at the moment. And once again, when we sort of implement this, someone clicks on the thing, it's going to change the button straight away so they know something's actually happening. And then once it's all finished, everyone will be like, yay. So we've got that. In this sort of case, when someone clicks on that, we won't have the sign-in label. What we'll actually have is reset password. So if we go over here, we don't have anything on here. I don't know why. I think I've broken something. Yeah, definitely broken something. Failed. Cool. No problem. So we've got this up. Yeah, I like that so far. The other thing that we've got to do is we're essentially copying all of this, and that's fine. It won't be a login panel. This will be forgotten password panel. So we're just gonna, do the good old copy and paste down there. And we're gonna fix this problem. So I am just gonna go over here. We're all happy with this. Now I've noticed that it's forward it to login. Ah. All right. So I'm just having a quick think. I'm gonna actually fix that very, very quickly. I'm just gonna go into the URLs. In here, what's actually happening is we don't want it to forward back to that. So if someone has login, that will be perfectly fine. If someone has login with a /, that's, oh, all right. Done. Perfect. Cool. And then if someone goes forgotten password. Oh, 404 not found. Okay. Not a problem. We're missing something. So we're going to go back to here. It's this that is broken, and what we're going to do is we're going to remove it. We're going to hover over here. We're just going to import it. We're going to hit refresh. We're going to hit forgotten password. Now I just noticed something. I'm going to throttle. We're going to do regular 2G. So it's going to download what we need. It's already downloading quite a bit. Sorry, I should have done something faster. All right, so now it's downloaded this stuff. We're now waiting for the login. There's a lot of VueJS stuff that it actually loads in first. And luckily, a lot of my stuff is small. Oh, got another ad break. All right, oops. Right, those on ad break aren't missing much. All right, so we load up this first, and then the image will load in like that. The width is already set, the height's already set. It's just annoying. Alright, I'm getting off the throttling. Get rid of NearBeach out of that. And we're just going to have forgotten password there. And then we've got password reset, but we've got to have the email put in there and so forth like that. And when we actually build out these components, we'll flesh them out a lot more. Tonight we're just dealing with the design. What we can do is, I also want to go back to login. So I want a route link to login. So it's kind of like that. However, I don't like how it's like, And that's because we've got the margin top there. And what I want to do, I mean, just wondering if it needs to be there or if we put it under the password reset. And I'm going to say, yeah, I think that would be a little bit better. I kind of like that. Yeah. It's looking a lot nicer. These load in super quick. I'm just going to delete everything. I'm going to reload the page, and what I'm going to have a look at is, now we are downloading 2.35 megabytes, but that being said, that's a background that's large. I'll redo these images so they're going to be a lot smaller. They're not going to be this big. We've also got these font sizes, which are huge. So I might... So there is about half a megabyte there. But otherwise, all of the other stuff which I'm loading in, that's mine, is not that big. The other sort of big stuff would be all the view stuff over up here. So if I have a look at the transferred, oh, why is that? That's a... Okay, alright, that's just... Alright, and then that one's the V depth. Alright, yeah. Alright. But yeah, if I click forgotten password, yeah, it doesn't download much extra. I'm just going to redo that again. 235, yeah, it... Nearly 400 kilobytes for the image. I'm definitely going to redo these images. But as you can see, it's not a lot. That's downloading, which I like. Now, when we actually build the thing itself, so I'm going to the mock-up. I'm just going to reload the mock-up. So the mock-up at the moment is 623, but once again, that font's take up quite a bit. So if we go to the transfer, so the index is the first one, and then yeah, it's these 3 fonts, which that's 400. Yep, 400. So if we get rid of the fonts, that's then down to 223 kilobytes. Pretty good. Pretty good. TTF font, smaller size. Way to reduce your yeah. Yeah, all right. Okay. Yeah, that's something which we could potentially do. Because yeah, those fonts are huge, and we're not using that in many places. And if I go to, let's delete all of that. If I go to add project, we're only adding on 10 kilobytes, and then let's say create current project, another 45 with this page. So once the initial load is done, everything should be a lot smaller and quicker. All right, cool. In the meantime, it's almost 10 o'clock. I got to figure out how I want to handle this reset password and all that kind of stuff. We should have reset password. Oops, password reset. Yeah, all right, cool. Be interesting to see once this is all built up and stuff like that, how much data gets sent to the user, and where we can really cut off all the kilobytes and stuff like that. Oh, that's another thing I was going to look up. Mockup, NearBeach. All right, cool. If we move this to the left, I'm going to... All right. Instant I click on project, we've got the CSS and the... Yep, okay. New project, text input, text. All right, cool. So it does actually break everything down into smaller things. So it doesn't actually... Oh no, project page. All right. No, I like that. That works for me. All right, cool. Anyway, something I just wanted to check. All right, we are going to raid Hypnotic Games. But thank you very much, everyone, for being here tonight. It has been wonderful. We're getting somewhere with this, so I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, I've just got to figure out, hopefully tomorrow, how we're going to handle the logins. So whether we do it through the API method, which I'm leaning on heavily at the moment, or we just get the controller to help us. Yeah, I think the API is going to be a lot better. But yeah, we'll figure that out. So yeah, let's go raid Hypnotic. And for those on YouTube, sadly you won't be able to follow us, but thank you very much for being here, and I hope you see you next stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe.